there is a legitimate authority in South Sudan, and that is the government of South Sudan, headed by His Excellency President Salva Kiir. And we are there because the authorities in South Sudan requested the government of Uganda for assistance. And President Yoweri Museveni, who is a long-time Pan-Africanist and who has really stamped a very serious mark on peace and stability in the region, responded positively. And that's why we are there. So there is no alternative. It is the legitimate government of South Sudan whom we are dealing with, and there is no point of saying we are taking sides. No, these are the authorities in South Sudan. They requested their neighbor for assistance, and the neighbor has responded positively. The situation was developing very dangerously, and the chances of outright violence between the different political and military forces was on the verge of full breakout. These tensions had been simmering for months and weeks, which had culminated with some more ministerial and other senior government official sackings and so on. There were threats and counter accusations by both sides, and the reports we have become privy to suggested that the opposition forces were mobilizing a military operation. So basically it was on the verge of breakout of full military hostilities, and our intervention was a timely one and to prevent that situation, because we have been there before in 2013, and the results were horrifying, because close to 500,000 people were killed in 2013, and for the ensuing 5 years, millions of people were internally displaced. Many fled across regional borders into Uganda and other neighboring countries, and it took a lot of effort by regional international players for these contending political forces to come back on the negotiating table in peace talks which were held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And they are where they are because of those concerted efforts. Now, it would be really frustrating if those efforts were to collapse entirely. And that's what we wish and pray that doesn't happen, not only for the sake of the people of South Sudan, but for all of us, Uganda and the region. We need to ensure that trade remains active among our people. The people of South Sudan are our brothers, and it's in our interest that we continue to strengthen that bond between the peoples of the two countries, but also to ensure that our region doesn't keep falling back into violence, cycles of violence. We want a stable, peaceful, and economically prosperous East African region. Of course, with the tensions high in the air, especially before we went in, it was a very worrying development, and people were rightfully concerned. In fact, foreign nationals from many of the countries in Europe and North America, the United States and Canada, evacuated their nationals. They came here in Uganda to Entebbe, and others proceeded to other places because of that emerging security threat. So were Ugandans, but with our presence there now, it has brought in some reassuring and encouraging development. for people doing their business, Ugandans, Kenyans, and other nationalities, but also the South Sudanese themselves. So for now, as it stands, the situation is relatively calm. I think there is no need to panic, but people there need to continue to remain vigilant because anything could happen. Be vigilant, but continue to do your business as usual. And we are there. If they need our support, we will give it. If we have new information, we will also share it in a very timely manner. Those discussions are still ongoing between the government of Uganda and the government of South Sudan. But you should also note that there is a status of force agreement which was agreed upon and signed way back around I think 2010. Even when we intervened in 2013, it was under that binding agreement, and it has never been expunged. There is an existing status of force agreement which was agreed way back in 2010 or thereabout. I'm not exactly sure about the actual year, but it is still valid and it has never been expanded. But of course, discussions are still ongoing between the government of Uganda and the government of South Sudan. More arrangements will be agreed upon, and in the meantime, we continue to fulfill our mission tasks as UPDF, and when the discussions have been exhausted, our strategic leaders will guide us accordingly, and we will abide with whatever guidance they give us. We are dealing with the real and serious issues in South Sudan, and for the people of South Sudan, these are matters of life and death. It is safe to assume that if the UPDF had not intervened as we did a fortnight ago, South Sudan would be in full-scale violence right now and on fire, with people dying in their hundreds or even thousands, and all the destruction that comes with it. So we believe that our intervention was timely and prevented a worse situation from breaking out. And if Dr. Riek Machar is honest, along with his supporters, they will know that Uganda has a very strong track record. For generations, we fought alongside the SPLA. Even when they attained independence, we have continued to stand by their side. Uganda has paid a very significant price in support of the aspirations of the people of South Sudan. Our own soldiers died in South Sudan. We lost equipment and other things. But we have also been host to South Sudanese refugees for many years. I went to school with South Sudanese, and many have settled here, or they have been educated here, right from primary school up to university. So we are the strongest and most reliable partner they have ever had in their struggles for independence and for self-emancipation, and in their current struggles for sustainable peace and security, economic prosperity, and generally socio-economic transformation. So they can always count on us. So any suggestions that we are there for any other reason, I think is quite preposterous. We do not have any chemical weapons in UPDF. We have not applied any heavy weapons anywhere. Actually, we have not been engaged as we speak in any violent hostilities with anyone. Not the White Army, not the other allied forces, and so on. We deployed, as I said, as a preventive measure. We are with the SPLA government force alongside us, and it's the legitimate force, military force in that country. So our presence there has been a deterrence, and so far we have not been drawn into any direct confrontation with anyone. And we hope that it will continue that way, because our overriding interest is to break that cycle of violence which for so long has broken the hearts of people in that place. There is no basis or truth in those allegations. I think Dr. Riek Shah is driven by other ulterior motives. For starters, he is very irritated and does not like the presence of UPDF in South Sudan, because probably he thinks we stand in the way of his own personal ambitions, which is, I think, quite unfortunate. The ambitions of the people of South Sudan come over and above any individual aspirations or ambitions. It is their well-being which counts first, not someone's ego or ambition to be president. What the people of South Sudan, the leaders, and all the key stakeholders should be doing is to come together and agree on a framework in which they can work together for peace and security for their people, so that we don't keep going through the same cycle of violence every few years down the road. We are not, like I've already pointed out, we are dealing with a real situation, not fictitious issues. These are real situations, these are lives of people, and that is why we are there. And fortunately, the people of South Sudan can see that very, very clearly, despite the rhetoric of some of their political players. So we are not worried. International organizations like the UN have an obligation to ensure that there is peace. They are meant to be arbiters to resolve local conflicts, or indeed even international conflicts. So if there are other players, and of course there are other players, and they are playing a constructive role, we have no problem with it. But we also have our own role to play to ensure that the people in South Sudan, for the reasons I've already well elaborated upon, continue to live in peace and harmony and pursue their individual and collective interests, so that they do not keep running around. They've been running around for more than the last 40 years. And I think it's about time that the people of South Sudan settle down and concentrate on serious development issues that concern their country. What I've explained, we are transparent. Whatever we do it in the open. There is nothing we are doing behind closed doors that the world does not know about. When we deployed our forces in South Sudan, initially our special operations units, we came out and told the entire world that we have taken this kind of action. So we are transparent. there is nothing we do or we are doing in hiding. Whatever we do, the world will know about it. Rwanda and Uganda are brotherly countries, and we are one people, really. And we are talking about East Africa, and that's what it means to integrate as a regional grouping. East Africa now has 6 or so countries. What we are doing with Rwanda is what we do with Kenya and other countries. We've been holding similar meetings with Kenya, especially in the 3rd division area of responsibility. That is the area of Uganda bordering Kenya in the Turkana region, over issues of cattle rustling and so on. So these are issues of defense diplomacy and continuous engagement to ensure that we are always on the same page, we support each other, and cooperate to solve issues that affect all of us. Issues of security, issues of trade, issues of terrorism, like we are dealing with a very big issue in Eastern Congo of many armed groups, people being killed, people fleeing to Uganda, to Rwanda, to Burundi, and other places. So our relationship with Rwanda is very healthy, and it is going on just as it should be. It is unfortunate that there is a time, or there have been moments in our relationship with Rwanda when relations grew a bit frosty and there was misunderstanding. But those issues have since been harmonized. And the most recent case was in 2021 when General Moses Kainerugaba, the current CDF UPDF, but that time in his capacity as Senior Presidential Advisor for Special Operations, managed to intervene using his personal initiative and resolved whatever difficulties were there between Uganda and Rwanda. And now our relationship has grown again. It is normal and it's going on well.